Hi, welcome back to my channel. I am a day late in doing my Monday reads. This is the first time I've really been sitting up since my surgery last week. It was a little bit more difficult than I imagined it would be, but I want to just quickly make this video and then I'm going to go climb back into bed and do some stuff on my tablets. So we're going to start off this Monday reads with Ambush by James Patterson and James O'Born. Now, if you watch my videos from last week, you'll know that I reviewed books, 6 through 10 and a half of the Michael Bennett series. Well, this week I read books 11, 12, 13, and 14. So we're going to talk about those four, just very briefly, very brief videos, reviews. In Ambush, Michael Bennett has a new young partner, and he really likes this partner. As a matter of fact, his new young partner wants to be him. Well, they go to a scene, and before you know it, Michael's partner is gunned down. Michael Bennett's partner is gunned down, and he himself gets injured. Michael wants the killer of his new partner. He wants that killer desperately. Well, Michael doesn't know who that killer is, but we do. We know it's a female assassin, and she'll stop at nothing to get Michael Bennett. In fact, she uses various local criminals to try to get the job done, but Bennett continues to survive, and she reaches a point where, I'm going to get you, Bennett. And then we have to find out, why does she want Bennett? What is it about Michael Bennett that this female assassin wants? Who hired her, actually? So that was Ambush. Very good book. I'm so glad that I read it. I want to take this opportunity to say that the first maybe 8 or 9 books were written by James Patterson and Michael Ledwidge. The last 4 or 5 books are written by James Patterson and James O'Born. Now, if I'm not mistaken, what James Patterson does is he presents the outline to his co-writers, and they write the story, and he make sure that it's cohesive and whatever he does in that effect. There's a marked difference between Michael Ledwidge and James O'Born. So if you love in this series like I am, you have to just kind of go with the flow that the writing style is different. James O'Born does not write like Michael Ledwidge. And I can't give James Patterson full accolades for the way this book was written, because we all know with him producing 2 or 3 books a month, he's using a lot of co-writers, and he's just the granddaddy of it all, or the daddy of it all, however you want to say it. So I had to kind of get adjusted to James O'Born. And I'm glad that I binge read this series so that I could see the difference in the writing styles. And so to continue with that, that's about all I can say. I'm not saying it's negative. It's just different. It's a different flavor, and I don't know. Anyway, we move on to Blindside. That is book number 12. Again, as obviously James Patterson and James O'Born. And in this case, the mayor of New York has a daughter who's missing. So what Detective Michael Bennett and his team do is they try to find the mayor's daughter. Now, the thing is, Michael Bennett's son, his oldest son, Brian, is still in prison. So if you have been following this series for the last 2 or 3 books, Brian is locked up with, I believe, a 10-year prison sentence. Now, in the previous book, in Ambush, something happened that got Brian moved to a safer facility, but he's still behind bars. Well, if Michael Bennett is going to find the mayor's daughter, then he wants to strike a deal regarding Brian's incarceration. So as you read this book, you'll see that not only is Bennett involved, but he brings in the FBI comes in. And we know that there is an FBI agent who has worked with Michael many times in the past, and that's no different in this story, Blindside. Then we move on. I do have to get it. We do move on. I believe Shattered is the next book. Is Shattered the last book in the series? Let me see. After Blindside. Nope, The Russian. How could I forget The Russian? Oh my goodness. The Russian is book number 13. I'm just a little shocked at myself for saying Shattered instead of The Russian when I know these books inside and out. But anyway, here we have a series of murders that have taken place in New York City, and that's where Bennett is. And as he starts to investigate these murders, there's two things, and I don't think they're spoilers. One is when blood is found at the scene, it's not only the murder victim's blood, but it's another blood type found at the scene. And I'm kind of skirting a little close to spoiling, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. I'm confident that I'm not. The thing is, because of what was found at the latest murder scene, or murder scenes in plural, Michael realizes that there were similar cases with similar MOs in Atlanta and San Francisco. Okay? Now, Michael is a little distracted because him and Mary Catherine are about to get married, or at least he's pressing her for a wedding date. So she's got wedding planning on her mind, and he's got to stop a serial killer over here. Now, this killer, it's called the Russian, so you know where the killer emanates from, but the question is, why have they targeted people in New York, and what about those other cases, like I said, in Atlanta and San Francisco? Now, Brian is a part of the story. I'm not going to tell you how, because you may not have read the previous book, but I'm glad to see Brian in this story. Then we move on to Shattered. Shattered is indeed the last book in this series that, for now, because Shattered came out July 18th. So I would imagine that 6 months to a year we'll get book number 19, but I don't know. Book number 15, but I don't know what that will be. But we do move on to the last book that I have, and I had this as an audiobook from Hachette Audio. And in this case here, we have Michael Bennett, who just got married, but Emily, our beloved FBI agent who has worked with Michael for case after case after case, she has been in book after book after book. First, she's missing. So Michael leaves he does manage to go to Ireland to his honeymoon, but he's back home in New York, and now he's back on a plane, and he heads to Washington, or however he gets there, he's headed to Washington, D.C. to try to track Emily down. In so doing, they discover that she was found strangled. And that's just devastating to me, because even though there was a little bit of, curiosity whether or not Michael and Emily were attracted to each other, because they worked well together. They obviously loved each other in a professional sense, but Michael's heart was with Mary Catherine. But still, Michael is devastated that Emily was found killed. So now he starts to learn that Emily had secrets. As a matter of fact, I thought, as a reader, as a dedicated reader, as a reader who binge read like 9 of these books or 10 of these books back to back to back, I thought I knew Emily. Michael thought he knew Emily. Well, Emily was a woman with secrets. If you want to know what those secrets were, and you want to know why this book was called Shattered, I would say definitely read it. Now, if you're staying with me in this video, I'm going to say this. James O'Born has redeemed himself with Shattered. Yes, it took me a while to get used to the change of writing style between Michael Ledwidge and James O'Born, but with Shattered, I was finally able to settle in and accept that now James Patterson has a new co-writer. I'm not really sure. Of course, I would have no idea if James O'Born will be writing book number 15, but it doesn't matter, because I'm going to be there for it. And there you have the last 4 books in the James Patterson series, Michael Bennett. I'm looking at this clock, and we're going to make this its own video. And that way I can link in the previous video with this one, and then I'll make the rest of my Monday reads into a separate video. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.